Oh, welcome back. The Biden administration announcing last week that it will provide over $3 billion in funding in a push to make components and batteries for electric vehicles in the U.S. The Department of Energy also announcing an additional $60 million will be made available for the reuse and recycling of used EV batteries. Joining me right now is the CEO of 6K, Aaron Bent. Aaron, thanks very much for being here. Your thoughts on what the policy is right now about lithium and using EV batteries components and producing them.
Thanks, Maria. It's a pleasure to be on your show this morning. I think the first thing we have to do is take a step back. This is really a story about domestic production, national security, and maintaining U.S. technology leadership. Our dependency on foreign countries for lithium-ion batteries has the potential to become actually worse than the semiconductor issue we're seeing today. A few statistics for your viewers. The increase in adoption of lithium-ion batteries was 1,000% between 2010 and 2020, and will be another 1,000% adoption between 2020 and 2030, driven by mandates, lowering costs, EV adoption. But I think one of the things that most people don't realize is that batteries back up our critical infrastructure, our power plants, our telecommunications, our data centers. We have to ask ourselves, where are these battery materials coming from? And fully 95% of battery materials are coming from Asia, 85% from China. And there are literally zero battery materials produced on U.S. soil today. And that's a serious issue. We have less than a month of supply on the U.S. soil.
So is this just a drop in the bucket, what we're hearing coming out of this White House? I mean, look, we understand that we are reliant on China for so many of our important production, whether it be, medicines or components that we need every day for our goods, from cars to homes to devices. How are we going to increase production in the U.S.? Is that sustainable and doable in your view over the near term?
It is, but it'll be more than the near term. But a couple things that are the case. First of all, we're at a tipping point. If we don't take action today, we'll forever lose the opportunity to reclaim battery materials in our own destiny. And you said the right thing, right? It's a drop in the bucket. So $3 billion is a good start, but one single Chinese company, CATL, is dedicating $5 billion to an expansion, doing things at scale that we can't even contemplate. So it's going to take two major things. One is, a lot of collaboration between industry and government and creating domestic supply chains here in the United States. But I think the biggest thing is going to take is technological innovation, right? This is one of the things that the U.S. excels at. It's one of the things that 6K is really pushing, is bringing new technology ideas to change the narrative, to actually bring the ability to repatriate these materials back to U.S. soil.
And this was all the intention of the CCP, right? I mean, the Chinese Communist Party has identified certain areas that it wants to dominate. And one of those areas is technology, so that it can actually be the place where the rest of the world is forced to import from, right? I mean, I know, Aaron, 6K just announced you raised $102 million in a Series D funded, led by Koch Strategic Platforms. The company develops its own revolutionary Unimelt plasma technology, which speeds up production of materials to make these kinds of things like lithium-ion batteries at a lower cost. But, are we seeing enough done to actually ensure that the U.S. is independent? Because this is what the Chinese Communist Party has been working on, dominating key industries to put the U.S. at a disadvantage. And we are.
You're absolutely right. You couldn't be more right. I think it's a serious issue. They hold the long game view on this, and that's something that we're not particularly good at. They've been buying up mines in the Congo and a variety of different places around the world. They are taking the view of controlling the entire infrastructure, huge amounts of government support, putting U.S. companies at disadvantages. And that's where I go back to the need to do technology innovation and really support and willingness to support young companies to leapfrog China. And one of the things that we spent a lot of time in D.C., there's two things that are true. One is that very few policymakers realize how serious an issue lithium-ion batteries are and the supply chain infrastructure, the fragility of it. And number two, across the aisle, there's a lot of support for doing something different. We just have to change and move into action.
Yeah. All right. It's a great point. Aaron, thanks very much. Aaron Bent joining us. We'll keep watching this important issue, Aaron. Thank you. We'll be right back.